My name's Eve Summers and I'm 24 years old. So most days I'll get up around about 7 o'clock and I'll put on some music the minute I wake up because I hate the sound of silence. I'll then look at my diary just to see what I've got planned for the day, like my training and stuff. So in the morning I'll put on my running stuff because I'm training for a marathon. So I like to get my training done first thing because that's when I run best apparently. I'll grab a cup of coffee before running, but I won't eat because otherwise I'll feel sick. And then I'll do that. I'll come home, I'll have a wee shower, and then I'll start to get ready for work. I work as an assistant manager for a bar that's 5 minutes away, so it's really handy. I can just walk down in the mornings. And I'm a key holder, so I'll unlock the pub. Basically, the morning is just damage control from the night before, so that's like just cleaning the pub, doing toilet checks, putting away any stocking the bar, briefing my colleagues on what we want to try and set out to achieve on that day. Once we've kind of done that, we'll go and we'll buy kitchen stocks, that's all our foods and stuff from the supermarket. Come back, usually our chef will then start prepping the kitchen for food service. And usually by that time, because I've not eaten in the morning, it's around about 12 o'clock, so I'll be quite hungry. So we're an Italian pizza bar, so we've got like a wee pizza oven. So most days I actually eat pizza, because I love like a big meal. But like sometimes by this point we've got like quite a few customers in, so I'll kind of eat and work. So I might be sitting with like my laptop doing marketing, or I might be doing like stock checks or rotas, or just going through our bookings, or just chatting to other colleagues about ways we can improve what we do. So it's it's a very active break. And even if there's nothing to do, I tend to like to sort of keep chatting to our customers because I think it's a bit rude. I don't like just sitting there eating when there's like people in that are paying to be there. So once that's over, I'll just make sure my colleagues all get a break and I'll just basically manage the bar. So that's just, ensuring there's good customer service going on, making sure everybody knows what they're doing, making sure the stock's there, there's like changing the till, all that nonsense. And usually if I'm doing a day shift, it'll finish at 5. So after the working day, I usually like to get people to come and meet me from work just to socialise. So my mates will come in, and depends on what they want to do, I'm kind of usually the person they'll go to with their fitness goals. So they might want to train with me. So they want to train, we'll head to the gym, which is also 5 minutes away. So we'll go and do that. If they don't, then we'll go and eat out somewhere. So I'm currently on a sort of vegan-y diet at the moment. So apparently Nando's is great. So I can eat loads at Nando's. So we'll go to Nando's. It's just easy. Or we'll go and get some dinner. And then the cinema's right next to Nando's. So we'll maybe go and see a film. I don't know. Or if we're not doing that, we'll just, hang out and catch up. If I don't do that, I tend to always go to like various family members for dinner. So I like to catch up with my grandparents or my family. I'm like from a big family. So I'll just like pop down there and eat with them. I just think it's really sad, like eating dinner by yourself. So I'll go and do that. And then by the time we get home, I'll just maybe watch a film or something. I have Netflix and Amazon Prime, but film junkie. Or I will just read a book. Right now I'm reading Catcher in the Rye. And then I'll do a little diary check for the next day just to see what I'm up to and do any forward planning that I need to. And then I'll be in bed by 11.
My name's Emma and I'm 23 years old. I wake up on an average day at 6:45. My alarm clock wakes me up. It's like a sad lamp, so it's nice and bright when I wake up. I'll get changed, get ready for work. I'll come through to the kitchen, pop the kettle on, make myself a cup of black coffee and some porridge with hot water and a sprinkle of chia seeds. Then I'll go back into the bedroom, get changed. So I wear, just for work, I'll wear like leggings and a baggy top, something comfy. And I'll go in to see myself in the mirror, make sure I look okay. Then wash my face, clean my teeth, pop some makeup on, and by this time I'm usually in a rush because I spent too much time dilly-dallying around, so I'll just have a couple of spoons of my porridge, a couple of sips of my coffee, and then run out the door, lock the door obviously behind me, and go downstairs into the car park of my flat get into my car, which is like a Volkswagen up, and I love it so much. It's so small and cute, and it just zooms about everywhere, and I love it. But it's usually quite messy. So I'll get into my car and switch the ignition on, and it's usually Beach Boys playing, which is my favourite album right now, Pet Sounds. And it's usually really loud, but I love it because it puts me in a really upbeat mood because it's fun, upbeat, summery music, so it puts me in a good frame of mind for starting work. My journey to work is a 20-minute drive north, up to the north of Glasgow. It's to an industrial estate in Postle Park. So it's quite a long journey, and I'll need to set off at about 7:30, 7:40, and I'll get there for about 5 to 8 because I start at 8 o'clock. I'll need to open up the shutters, open the front door, switch all the lights on, and then sign in with my key card, and so that should take me up to 8 o'clock. Then the first thing I do is obviously like welcome all the guys that work there, like welcome them all to the kitchen and be like, hi, how you doing? Like, have you had a nice night, good rest and everything? There's 5 guys that I work with, no women, I'm the only girl. But I get on with them like well enough. Like, they've got kind of a bromance gang going on, but it's fine, it is what it is. And so they usually work in the production kitchen in the factory, and my job is to be the supervisor of the whole factory, which means that I work in the packing area and also the production kitchen. So first thing I do is double check that the schedule matches up for what we need to make that day. Then I'll go and brief the guys on what they're doing, so what they're making. Usually it'll be vegan steaks or vegan bacon, that's our most popular products. So I'll brief them on what we're doing and the times that they need to finish certain products by, so that they're able to get out on time as well. So I'll brief them with the schedule of the day. Then I'll make sure that they're getting set up and started, and then I'll go through into the packing area again and check that there's no orders going out that day. Usually there is orders to be sent out, so that's like cafes, restaurants, people that have just ordered online, like wanting products, and I'll need to pack the products up and into boxes and get them all ready for the postman coming to pick them up, which is usually about 12 he comes. So once I've done all that, that kind of takes me an hour and a half, and by that time I'm ready to go into the kitchen. So I get ready to go into the kitchen. We wear like hair nets, special footwear, like hygienic footwear that's only used for the kitchen, and like full like top to toe white overalls that are cleaned every day, so it's really like hygienic. Then I'll go into the kitchen and wash my hands, obviously, put gloves on, and by that time the guys will have finished like mixing the ingredients for whatever products they're making that day. And so then they'll be on to the next part of the process, which is like packing, sealing, and then cooking the steaks, for example. So I'll make sure that everything's gone smoothly, the boiler's switched on, and everyone's kind of quite happy with what job they're doing. And then I'll just join in the process, for example, like vacuum sealing the pouches before they get pressed and then popped in the boiler. My job as a supervisor is to kind of work in the production line of the kitchen, making the vegan meat, but also to like supervise the staff, so to make sure that they're happy in their work, to make sure that they're being productive, to make sure that they're not talking too much, or that everything's going smoothly and the communication's like really clear between us all. Yeah, so that would kind of busy us until lunchtime, and it's kind of my decision like who and when goes for lunch. So I try and stagger the lunches. Obviously the first person in is the first person to go for lunch usually, which I think is fair, but I try and stagger it so that there's always at least two or three people in the kitchen, which kind of keeps the production moving and it's good for health and safety reasons as well if anyone gets hurt or anything happens. So usually you're up on your lunch break, which is a 40-minute break, which is unpaid. You're usually up there, usually on your own, or you get someone maybe for 10 minutes of your break to chat to. So when I'm on my lunch break, usually I'll just be on my phone or like reading my book, because you're usually sat on your own. What I usually eat for lunch, it's a vegan factory, so we obviously need to eat vegan products. You can't bring in any animal products at all. Like, everyone that works there is vegan as well, so it's kind of a good attitude we've all got towards our work. So on an average day, I'll just bring in like a can of beans or a can of soup and just like pop it in a bowl and microwave it, and then just eat that, just because I'm quite lazy with making food, and it's just simple and cheap and easy to do. So after lunch, you'll get changed back into your overalls, and that'll be kind of about 1 o'clock. Then you'll just continue with the schedule for the day, so continue making products. You want to finish actually making the products at about 3, so that you have a chance to like really deep clean the kitchen. And home time from work is about 4:30 usually. Sometimes it runs over, but I try and make sure that the guys are out by 4:30. So on an average day, I have to stay late, maybe 20-25 minutes late. So I'll get out at about 5 o'clock and drive home, which is usually fun because it's sunny, it's summer, and it's just loud music, and it's just my time to kind of like wind down when I'm in the car, because I've just finished work, so I can just like have myself to myself and my own thoughts. Then I'll get home and I'll come up and I'll pop on my tea, which is usually like frozen veggie burgers and frozen peas and broccoli and stuff. Just something really simple. I'll pop the washing on or hang it up or put it away, whatever needs to be done like chore wise in the house. And then kind of my favourite thing to do in the evening is to just have like a long relaxing bath. So I'll run a bath, I'll put the candles on, get a bath bomb maybe, and just like chill and clean myself from work, because I usually smell from work. So yeah, it's just nice to just chill. When I'm in the bath, I'll usually be on my phone on Facebook or Instagram, or I love to watch TV shows as well. My favourite one just now is Black Sails, about the pirates, which I love that. I've nearly finished it, so I'm addicted. But yeah, I'll just sit in the bath watching a TV show and maybe a glass of wine, wind down. And that's really, really nice way to relax as well after a long day. After the bath, that'll probably take me up to like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So I'll just dry myself, put my pyjamas on and get into bed, and I'll usually spend about an hour or 2 hours like reading a book or like checking my emails while I'm in bed. Then I'll set my alarm clock for the next morning, and by the time I'm asleep that's about 11 o'clock, 11:30. So that's when I go to bed. So yeah.
My name's Craig Nixon, I'm 31 and I'm from Glasgow and I stay in Cumbernauld. I work in Tesco Extra Cumbernauld. I start at 6 every morning, so I wake up at 5, snooze my alarm till about 5:30, shower really quickly, run out the door at 10:02 and make it just on time every day. We do stock control, so we do a lot of early morning routines. It's like checking in the delivery, making sure everything's there, doing a gap scan, so we go around and every time there's a gap on the shelf or there should be stock, we'll scan it. It lets the system know if it's not in the back, order it in. Usually get my breakfast about 8:30, get a fry up in the canteen, which is okay, decent food, pretty cheap. Then we go back down, we'll usually count, so each day it'll be a different area we count, so it could be toys one day, could be cook shop another day, or health and beauty or electrical, something like that. That'll usually take us up to about lunch at 12. Me and my teammates all go together, either get something in the canteen again or come downstairs and just buy like a meal deal off the shelf. Then after lunch we've got a couple of hours just to catch up on everything that fell behind throughout the week. That takes us to 3 o'clock when I finish. When I come home, I'll usually chill out a wee bit. I'll get a latte, give me some energy, and then I'll do a workout. Just kind of basic bodyweight exercises and dumbbells and some yoga, because it's meant to be good for me, so I try and do that. I'll get my dinner, usually around 5, half 5. I'll usually cook something simple, some kind of Chinese or Japanese food or Mexican food like tacos or something like that. Then after it, I'll usually catch up on wrestling, especially on a Tuesday or Wednesday because it was on the night before. I'll chill out and watch them. Or I'll watch a film. I collect a lot of Asian films, Asian cinema, so I've usually got a big pile I've not watched yet, so I'll watch one of them and it'll take me to 9, 10 o'clock where I'll kind of just go to bed. Usually drink a glass of water before bed as well, because that's meant to be good for you. That's usually Monday to Friday. If it's Saturday night, or maybe Friday night or Saturday night, I'll usually go out with my pals, go to the pub and then go into Glasgow and go to the cat house or something. But yeah, Monday to Friday's pretty boring, pretty tame.
Hi, my name is Nunzio Russo and I am the owner of a Mediterranean restaurant in Ingram Street, Glasgow. I get up approximately 8 o'clock in the morning. That's when I wake up. The first things I do, I go in my kitchen, I make myself an espresso. That's give you the little cake to go on with my day. Then I go back in bed and I check my emails. I respond to some after going for a shower. Get ready to work, jump in a car, come to the restaurant, and go to the office upstairs. Have a little chat with Kate, which is my secretary, and she's telling me what my day is going to be. Up to 12 o'clock, I respond to some of my emails. Then we serve in lunch. Our lunch is basically a quick lunch. All the customers, they are coming either in their break for their work, or there is some people which does shopping and they come for a wee bite to eat. The lunch approximately lasts from 12 to 3 p.m. During the course of the lunching, I do speak with my chef about a few dishes which I like, a few dishes which I don't like, which I saw serving during the lunch. Finish the lunch, I usually have a little bite to eat. Lunchtime, usually something pretty light, is either a Caesar salad or a little bit of smoked salmon. After that, I go back to the office and I look at a few new recipes which I always like to give to my customers. When 5 o'clock comes, we start to serve how we call it the early dinner, which is basically people that they are coming after they finish work, before they go home, or just people that they are late shopping and they come for something to eat during the afternoon. The early dinner is also a 2-course menu, which is pretty simple. People, they do appreciate the quality of the food and the quality of the service. The early dinner usually is around about 5 to 7 o'clock. During this time now we have a lot of tourists, so there is a lot of people which they come in, which they don't speak English, so there is a little bit of difficulty sometimes to make people understand what they want and what they would like. But because we are Italian, we kind of also have a little bit of Spanish background, so there is a lot of Spanish people which we do understand, etc., etc. Dinner basically is during the week not so busy, but this time, because like I said, there is a lot of tourists, we do serve a lot of people. The restaurant is kind of changes ambience dinner. The lights, they go down, there is a little bit more sparkle about. We have a lot of cocktails ordering, because it's a little bit later on, people they drink a little bit more, while during the day they consume less alcohol. Dinner is lasting usually around about from I would say starts from 7 p.m. until 10 a.m. at night. During the dinner service, there is a lot of phone calls to answer. There is a lot of explanation to give to some of the staff, and deal with some of very occasionally complaints with the customers. The dinner finish around about 10 o'clock. I usually don't stay during the week until as late as that. When 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock comes, I quickly have something to eat in a restaurant, or sometime I go and take something home. Once I jump in my car and I go back home, I go home, I have a shower, I relax, I have a couple of glasses of wine. If I eat in my house, something to eat quickly. I watch a little bit of TV. I've already done a few things which I would like to do the day after, which is my priority, and after the shower, straight to my bed, watching the TV until I slowly get to sleep, usually around about, I would say, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning when I fell asleep.
My name's Andy Gormley, I'm 34 years old and I'm a call centre advisor. My usual day would start roughly about 7 o'clock, wake up, get ready for work. Usually breakfast, I wouldn't have much for breakfast, just maybe a coffee. And then I'd start work for about 8 and I'd deal with calls. I'm currently dealing with the B&Q campaign, chasing deliveries for customers and inquiries, taking orders, things of that nature. Call centre work can be quite stressful at times. If you've ever worked in a call centre, you would know. Customers can be really nice, some can be really terrible, and some can be fine, you know. Usually about 10, 11 o'clock to have a break for about 15 minutes, have a cigarette, have a coffee, go back to work. Then I'd have my lunch at 12:30, 1 o'clock, depending on how the day is going. And usually have something to eat, possibly some rolls, and not something light. I'm not really a big eater. And then the rest of the day would just be taking calls, and I'd mostly be fueling my day with coffee to about the time we finish, which would be about 4:30. Then return home. Would probably sit and watch some TV, I should say. Maybe play some computer games. I'm a big fan of like bands like Rock Band, Guitar Hero, Final Fantasy, stuff like that. I love adventure games. I'll sometimes play guitar just to relax. I won't always usually eat dinner straight away. I give myself some time. When I do eventually have some dinner, I'll probably make like fajitas or something nice like that, or tacos, something good. Then probably watch a bit of TV for the rest of the night, and then usually go to bed about 11. And then wake up and do it all over again.
Hi, I'm Marion, I'm 56 and I'm a classroom assistant. My day begins when my alarm goes off at 7 a.m. I get up, I go to the toilet, brush my teeth, I then do a bit of exercise, some yoga. By that time my husband is home from his night shift and he started making the breakfast. I go downstairs and it's usually porridge for breakfast. I put some nuts and seeds in my porridge. I have a vitamin drink and I take my vitamins and go and sit and have my porridge with my husband. Just have a chat and that's it. He's off to his bed. I go up the stairs, have my shower and get ready for work. If there's a bit of time, I maybe do a bit of tidying up or a quick bit of ironing. I leave the house at 8:45. The school that I work in is really local. It's only 3 minutes away from my house. So I go down and I stand at the school gate every morning and I welcome the children into the school. The bell goes at 9 a.m. and we all head into the school. Once we're organised, my first job is to take a small group of children and I work with a number box. This supports the children in the maths learning. Then about 9:30 I'll go into a class, maybe work with a larger group of children, maybe with their language work, do their phonemes, their magnetic boards, listen to them read, support them in the class situation. At 10:15 I then go for my tea break, that lasts 15 minutes. At 10:30 the bell goes and that's playtime, so I accompany the children out into the playground, do our playground duty for 15 minutes, and then the bell goes again at 10:45. I then go to my next class. I can be all over the school. I'm the only classroom assistant that's left in the school now. So the next class I could be in the class with the teacher, supporting various groups. If it's a writing lesson, it could be supporting with their spelling, just ideas. If it's narrative writing, or it could be descriptive writing. And that will last up until 12:15, and the bell goes for lunchtime. Again, I'm out at the playground supporting the children. I like to maybe play hide and seek, skipping ropes. I deal with any injuries in the first instance. And then the bell goes again at 1 p.m, and that's lunchtime over. The children head back in, and I just come home from my lunch every day. Usually have like oat cakes and hummus or cheese, cup of green tea, like my green tea, and then I get 45 minutes for my lunch, and then that's me back down to school. In the afternoon I'm timetabled to a different class. It could be maths work again, it could be language, or it could be we have a kitchen area in the school, so it could be cooking or baking. I support the children doing that as well. So the bell goes at 3 o'clock, and that is my working day over. I get tidied up and I come up the road. If it's a nice day, myself and my husband might go out for a walk, might go and visit friends, or go out for a coffee. And we have our dinner reasonably early now, say about 4:30, 5 p.m, as my husband leaves for his work just after 6 p.m. Once he's gone to his work, before that, while we're having our tea, there's a couple of programmes I like to watch on the TV, and that's Flog It and Pointless. So watch that. Then he goes off to his work, maybe do a bit of tidying up, a bit of housework. I like to go to Keep Fit class, maybe meet up with friends, and I like to watch these box sets. At the moment, myself and my son are watching The American Office, so that's quite funny. And then have a cup of tea, maybe around about 10 o'clock. My husband gives me a phone once he's reached his destination, just to let me know that everything was okay and he got there okay. And then I try to be in my bed for 11 p.m, and that's my day.
I'm David McCarrison, I'm 21 years old. Usually my typical day kind of starts about it's 7:30 in the morning. I'll usually get up, try and get dressed and have a shower, eat, all that kind of stuff, just as fast as I can, because I want to try and get my job done as fast as possible. Usually I'll just have my television on in the background. I'll eat cereal or toast, nothing too fancy, and then I'll get in my van, I'll drive to my work, drive to a depot down in Coatbridge, where we'll wait about, sometimes that's the thing, we can wait sometimes about nearly half an hour, hour and a half sometimes, waiting just to try and get in so we can get the parcels, scan them, get them in the van so that we can deliver them to our customers. But that's fine as well, just depends on what day, because it really doesn't bother me too much. But when we get into the van and we start driving them to go and deliver the parcels, it can take somewhere anywhere between 2 to sometimes 4 hours to do the whole run, depending on how many we have. And I find it a very interesting job as well. For me, it's very flexible. I can have a lot of free time as well to do other things. But it's a job I find quite interesting, just because you tend to meet all these assortment of people from different ages and nationalities and all these kind of things, and different tons of different people who sometimes you maybe wouldn't meet in your everyday life, or if you worked in an office or stuff like that. It tends to be a job where sometimes it can feel like you might be slightly separated from them as well, just because it's like the Taxi Driver thing, the movie. It's sometimes you can feel separated from them because you're looking at things, through a car window. You might be slightly separated, or you might not even understand their situation, because in the areas I tend to deliver to, they tend to be very working class areas. For people who might be they might work in a butcher's, or they might work in like Tesco or something like that, or people who might be from a foreign country, trying to come to here to make a better life for themselves. But when I'm delivering the parcels and do them quite quickly, sometimes you might run into a situation where, like for instance, I've been attacked by like pets and animals they might have, such as dogs, but it doesn't bother me too much because I've tended to quite get used to it as well. But we usually do that, finish about 2 o'clock, say, and when I get into the house, then it becomes a task to try and think about what to do to try and keep productive. I'll usually clean, watch TV, watch a movie, read, all these kind of things. It tends to be the hardest part of the day as well, just because you're trying to find something for yourself to do, not be too stagnant or just sitting doing nothing as well. Usually we get around to about 6 o'clock. I'll have my dinner. I might make something, pasta or steak, because my dad was quite a person who loved to cook as well, but occasionally I might get something delivered. Usually we have that, usually watch a movie or two, and when it tends to get near the end of the day, I tend to be quite a night owl. Sometimes I might not go to bed until 11 o'clock, midnight sometimes. It tends to be quite hard to find something to do at that place as well, much more so earlier in the day. But I do find it quite easy, and some days it just becomes on a day-to-day basis. You find stuff for yourself to do, whether it be reading or watching a movie, all these kind of things. Especially because one of my hobbies is filmmaking, but it tends to keep me quite productive, and I find that to be quite something that I think that could be something to pursue in other ways. But usually we get to about the end of the day, and about 11 o'clock, midnight, I usually just lie down or sit in bed. I won't have anything on. I'm just going to sit there and just kind of lie down and try and relax, and that's the most calm, the most relaxed part of my day as well. It's usually just that moment where I go in my bed and try and drift off to sleep.
The name is William Marshall. I stay in Whiteleys in Cumbernauld. Oh, sorry, excuse me. I am a late riser. I usually don't go up till 10 o'clock or thereabouts. I then do my messages up in the small centre, just paper, milk and bread. Come back down, have lunch with Isabel. Then probably at the moment I'm watching a lot of football on the television because of the World Cup. And then we'll have our dinner, which I sometimes make as a curry, or Isabel makes plenty of nice stuff to eat because she's a good cook. And then we'll watch maybe more football. Isabel won't, but I will. And then come the back at 1 o'clock, I've usually got a big bang on that I watch. So I watch that and then go to my bed about 1:30 maybe, and disturb Isabel.
My name is Margaret Friel and I am 61 years old. My profession, I've not got a profession, but I'm an unpaid carer. I get up in the morning about 7:30. I then come downstairs and normally go into the bathroom first. Come out of the bathroom and come in and lay out pills for my mum. I then make myself a coffee. I drink the coffee in the living room while I'm watching the television. A programme called The Waltons, which I used to watch when I was a child. That gives me my chill time. I then have a second cup of coffee, and then about 9 o'clock I go into the kitchen and have some porridge. I then finish the porridge, go into the bathroom, get washed and showered, and then get up and get dressed. I then go down to Gourock to look after my mother and father-in-law. I leave the house about 9:45. They live in Gourock, so it takes me about 45 minutes to get there. When I arrive, certainly before I arrive, my husband and I will have discussions in the car about what we're going into face. There's always some sort of problems we have to address. When we arrive, my mother-in-law is always there to welcome us, and we go in and then I assess what's needed done. That consists of making beds or changing beds, hoovering, washing the bathroom, washing the kitchen, polishing, cleaning the glass mirrors, cleaning the porch, and also cleaning the conservatory. We stop and have a cup of tea, and I normally have a roll and egg mayonnaise about 12 o'clock. I then finish that, sit for maybe about half an hour, and then I get back up again and finish off the cleaning that I have to do. Normally finish about 2 o'clock, and then we sit and chat with my mother and father-in-law for maybe about half an hour just to see how they are, what's been happening, and just generally a wee conversation. We then decide that it's time to get back up the road, so we normally leave, as I say, round about 2:30, 3 o'clock, and we get in the car again and we drive further from Greenock to a place called Port Glasgow. We always stop in there to do some shopping. We go into Marks and Spencer's, pick up some food there, and then also head over to Tesco and pick up some stuff there. We leave Port Glasgow and go back onto the motorway to drive back up to Glasgow, and on occasion sometimes have to stop off and pick our son up at university, and then we drive back home. Sometimes it's quite a quick work that I do because I have a mum in the house and we don't like to leave her too long. So we then travel back to our house in Manswood, and we get out the car, come in, unpack the shopping. After we've unpacked the shopping, we check, see my mum's okay, that there's nothing happening here, and then we have a cup of coffee together. If there's time, we decide, sometimes depends how we feel, we'll have a game of Scrabble, and if the weather's great, we'll have that outside. If it's not so great, we play inside. That normally takes about an hour, and around about 5 o'clock then we start to prepare for dinner. Normally on the Monday we would have pasta and chicken. We sit at the table together and we'll discuss what's going on in the world or what's going on with the family. That can take up to an hour or 3/4 of an hour, so by about 6:45 it's time to clean up the kitchen again, do the dishes, put the dishwasher on, wash the pots, and just generally get the kitchen back into the way it was. I then go in and normally have a shower, and after my shower I then come back out the shower and go into the living room and see maybe what's on television, or sometimes I use my earphones and listen to YouTube on my phone. Television wise, we normally watch maybe ER, which is a programme about a hospital that used to be on years ago. Thoroughly enjoy that. And then sometimes we'll switch to Netflix and see if there's any dramas on there that we enjoy. My mum goes to bed, and then we are left in the living room ourselves, my husband and I, and we sit and, as I say, watch whatever we both fancy watching. Normally I'll snack. Sometimes it could be crisps, other times I'll have ice cream, which I thoroughly enjoy, and it really is my time for chill. Normally around about 11 o'clock I'll then go away from the television. I'll go into the bathroom, brush my teeth, wash my face, and just get ready for bed. And then I'll go up the stairs, and when I'm up the stairs I go into my bed, and that's when I like to read. I like reading things that are true to life. I'm not so keen on fiction, and I'll read maybe for roughly half an hour. By that time I'm really tired, so I end up putting the light out, so roughly by about 11:30, 11:45 I'm sleeping, and that is my day.
Hi there, my name's Jordan Flanagan. I work in intensive care in Hairmyres Hospital as a clinical support worker. And the daily routine for myself for a 12.5 hour shift would be getting up at about 5:30 in the morning, have a shower, get food and stuff organised for the day. I stay 5 minute drive from work, so I can leave about 20 to 7. Shift starts at 7 in the morning, come in, see the team who's on in the day, make a cup of coffee or tea, change out my uniform, and at 7 o'clock we get our morning handover of the patients and what's happening in the ward. And then about 7:15 we go into the unit and we start our job. And my main routine and job title in the unit is setting up all the life support machines, making sure that they are working order, and they're set up for emergency patients coming into A&E or theatre. We also make sure that we have enough equipment and drugs in the cupboard in the storeroom, so liaison with all the pharmacy departments, medical physics if any equipment needs to be fixed or repaired. That's about midday in the morning. We have breakfast about 9 o'clock in the unit, which is normally cereal, porridge, cup of tea. We get half an hour for a break, and if it's sunny we go outside, change our clothes and go enjoy some fresh air. Go back into the unit, and we normally get patients coming in from whether it's theatres or A&E or emergency patients coming from other wards, and that could take up most of the mid-morning until about 12 o'clock, 12:30 we get lunch. Normally that's just soup or a sandwich from the canteen, and we get about half an hour for that break as well. Later on in the afternoon is when we have visiting time, so a lot of interaction with the patients' families, carers, physios come in, do their ward rounds with the patients and hopefully get the patients home, and if so we get them all packed up ready for going home, whether it's that night or the next day. Visiting time lasts 2 hours in the unit, so about 4 o'clock patients, visitors are going home and we start getting the beds ready for the later on patients coming from theatres. So that takes about half an hour, 40 minutes. All the staff get all the bed spaces set up, making sure that there's all the equipment set up, ready for the admissions from the theatre staff. Once we get a patient in from theatre, we get a handover, which takes maybe between 10-15 minutes. We get the patient settled in, and then we let the families know that their loved ones or families have arrived in the unit and they're safe, and they'll come up for visit between 6:30 and 8. So about 5:30 we'll go for a quick 15-minute break, cup of tea, chill for 15 minutes, back into the unit, and it's just getting the shift ready for the night shift to come in, which they start at 7 o'clock, and when they get their night shift handover they come in about 15:15 and we finish for 7:30. After that it's a quick 5-minute drive home, go for a walk usually if it's nice, have a shower, make food for work for the next day if I'm back on a long day, and if I'm back on for a long day it's maybe watch half an hour of The Big Bang Theory or something on Netflix for an hour max, in bed for about 10, 10:30 and back up again first thing in the morning.
Hi, my name's Yvonne, I'm 49 years old. My general day consists of normally getting up at 6 a.m. I usually get up by alarm, come through, put the kettle on, have a slice of toast with peanut butter and settle down with my breakfast and put the TV on to see the morning news. Once I've had my breakfast, I then go through and have a shower. After my shower, I get myself ready to go to work, and I usually leave the house at 7 a.m. I walk along to the train station. I normally get a train between 7:11 and 7:16. This takes me to High Street, which I have about a 7-minute walk up to the Royal Infirmary where I work as a ward clerk is. My morning at work starts at 8 o'clock, but I usually arrive in for about 7:30, 20 to 8, which from then I get myself a coffee and sit down at my desk. The roles in my job, I put the computer on and print off a patient list for the day, and also a discharge list for any patients that have been discharged through the night. Once I have done that, I take a general walk around the ward. where I ask the nursing staff how the patients have been, if there's any concerns that we may need to inform relatives if they phone. Once that is done, I go back to my desk. My main duties consist of answering the phone, which can be very, very busy, especially first thing in the morning. The ward consists of 60 patients. It's a ward split into 3, so it can be very, very busy. In the afternoon, before the afternoon, I'll have a break for my breakfast, and it's usually about 10:30, 11 o'clock. I will then have some toast with scrambled egg and avocado and a coffee. My break lasts around half an hour, and once I have done this, again, I come back onto the ward to check if there's been any updates. Again, the phone is ringing quite a lot, and I'm just generally finding out about inquiries and maybe speaking to some of the doctors in regards to some of the inquiries that have been made. I usually take lunch around about 2:30. For my lunch, I normally just have soup and a sandwich and a juice. After lunchtime in the hospital, the ward round starts. The visiting's usually about 2:30, and when I come back out from my tea break, things tend to settle down. The afternoon can become a bit repetitive, and what we tend to do is we have discharges that we have to file to get ready for scanning. When these are done, we send them down to the scanning room, and that puts them on computer so that GPs and whatever can read how the patient has got on. My day finishes at 6 p.m. I tend to finish up, switch my computer off and walk down High Street to get the train to come home. I arrive back in Partick, walk along from the station and come home to have some dinner, which I've usually prepared the night before. I have my dinner around about 6:30, 7 o'clock, and at that point I do put the TV on and watch Emmerdale. Once that is finished and I've had my dinner, I like to go for a walk, maybe just for about an hour, 8 o'clock till 8:30, and then I come back in and just settle down for the night. Again, with some TV. Nothing too hard, just some easy watching TV. Usually about 10 o'clock, I watch the news, which finishes at 10:30. When the news is finished, I go through to my bed and maybe pick up a book and read for about half an hour when I switch the light off and get ready for my next day ahead.
My name is Parmy, and I have just moved to this flat about 4 or 5 months ago, sharing with 2 friends. I used to stay on the other side of Glasgow over by Parkhead, but where I am just now is a lot closer to work, so it's actually helped me quite a lot in the mornings waking up. I usually start about 8 o'clock, probably about 10-15 minutes walk from here, which means I don't have to rely on buses, trains. I can just roll out of bed probably about 7 o'clock in the morning, take about half an hour to get ready, so I'll generally get up, maybe snooze for about 5 minutes. The first thing everybody does is pick up the phone, check Facebook, emails, and then jump in the shower. I'm lucky that where I work I've got kitchen facilities, so I don't have to cook here, don't have to wash any breakfast dishes. I can just get straight down there, open the fridge, see what I've put in on a Monday morning, and yeah, get stuck in. So I've got quite a healthy outlook on life. I eat quite healthy, so the fridge at work is filled with eggs, avocado, fruits, vegetables, so that kind of thing, a lot of good wholesome food. The job that I do work in is telesales, so it is a kind of high energy job, focusing. I speak to up to 100 different people a day, cold calling. So as you can imagine, you need to sort of stay on top, stay sharp, and food routine's a big part of that. So usually crack on, get on the phones first thing, plan the day, jump straight in, and then before I know it's break time, 10:15, and it's that time to eat again. Sit in front of the TV. We're lucky we've got a TV at work, especially right now because the World Cup's just started. So me and the 3 other colleagues that I've got in the office usually just sit around the breakout area, maybe have a cup of tea. I'm quite big on my green tea, So, especially with matcha green tea, not just normal green tea bags, because that's just not pure enough. So yeah, 15 minutes, have a bit of banter, and then get back to it. Straight on the phones again, speak to as many people as possible. There's always rejection. The majority of the job is being rejected on the telephone. But there will always be people who do want to speak, and it's just a case of hunting them down, whether they want to buy from us now, or it's a case of planning, pipeline, scheduling callbacks at a later time that's suitable for them, and then moving on to the next one. So it's quite a high churn job. If it's a terrible day, the morning can drag, and lunchtime never seems to come. But other days, successful days, it's soon 1 o'clock and it's lunchtime. Time to go out and have a wander around Glasgow. Very fortunate to be working in St Vincent Street in the centre. There's a lot of shops there. Occasionally might pop to the pub with friends. We've got an hour. Again, like to keep that sort of healthy outlook on life. Popping to Marks and Spencer's, I would say that's probably my favourite of the supermarkets down there. Always a really fresh variety of food, which I just love. I always seem to go in there and I always seem to come back out of Marks and Spencer's with something different. Even though I've been working in that office for ages, I can always go in there. There's always different stuff, a really nice variety of food which I really appreciate. Or I could bring stuff in from the house, fresh vegetables, fruit, meats and so on. Again, keeping it down on the carbs because that just weighs you down and you don't want to fall asleep in the afternoon in the work that I do. So then it's back to work, back on the phones, till break time, 3:15 for 15 minutes. Again, pretty much the same as what we'll do in the morning. Sit in the breakout area with my friends, my colleagues, and yeah, watch a bit of TV. Sometimes there's a bit of squabbling over what we're watching on the TV, whether it's news or something else. And then back on the phones till usually about 5 o'clock, depending if there's any catch up, any admin and so on. So yeah, I really enjoy the work. I mean, when it's good, it's absolutely fantastic. But with the nature of the job, some days are terrible and you've just got to get over it. So the gist of the day is it's all about learning how to handle rejection and moving on to the next, and success comes. So that's pretty much what I do on a daily basis at work, and then it's time to go home. Again, just like it is in the morning, it's usually quite a pleasant walk from St Vincent Street over here, down the centre of town, over the Tradeston footbridge. As you walk over, you can look right and you can see the west side of Glasgow. You've got the Squinty Bridge over towards the BBC and so on, and on the left hand side you've got Central Station, and I just love it. I just love Glasgow, the centre of it. I love that view, I love where I am, and before you know it I'm back in the flat, and I'm quite a sporty, athletic person, I would like to think. Especially as you get on in life, it's quite important to keep fit and healthy. So I'm very much into my five-a-side football. So I would have to say Tuesday is my favourite day of the week. So I usually start about 7 o'clock till 8 o'clock up at Townhead with a group of friends on the AstroTurf. Can be quite intense, quite competitive, always work a big sweat. And yeah, always go home feeling satisfied. I've done a good day's job at work, hopefully. But I know I'll always give it 110%, maybe that wee bit extra effort on the football pitch because I just love playing. And especially now that it's the summer, it's just, yeah, can't miss it. So yeah, usually drive back. It's usually quite a pleasant drive back home. We're lucky we've got car parking spaces outside. Don't have to park in any busy streets or anything like that. And then I usually just come and chill out here in front of the television. Ross, Gurab, my two flatmates, sometimes here have a bit of banter or talk about all sorts of stuff that probably can't be repeated on camera, boy stuff. Yeah, generally just doze off, have some good food again. I like cooking. So what I normally like eating in the evenings is a nice stir fry. One of the reasons being, I guess it's quite easy, it's quite lazy, some would say. You know, there's not pots and pans here and everywhere, it's just everything. There's the beauty of putting everything in one pan. Vegetables, tomatoes, carrots, peppers, everything, lots of spices. I'm quite big on seafood as well, so I put a lot of tuna in, a lot of salmon, a bit of mackerel, just anything. I just love good food, and I think it's one of the best ways you can stay young and feel good. Yeah. And I guess by then, probably comes to about 9 o'clock, 9:30. I'd like to get to bed early. It's easier said than done. Adrenaline's still rushing after playing football. Some days I'll find myself in bed about 10 o'clock, but not actually get to sleep till about 11:30. Again, try to put the phone down. Easier said than done. Can't get to sleep, pick the phone back up, and again it's looking through Facebook, Twitter, anything. Every app that's in the phone. And yeah, a lot of the times I'll get to bed probably about 12:30 at night, and then it's good night.
Hi, my name's Suzanne Rust. I'm 37, married, and although I grew up in the West End of Glasgow, I'm now living in Mount Florida on the south side near Hampden Park. One of my biggest passions in life has to be wrestling. Got into the Scottish scene about 8 years ago roughly, off the back of a comment from my friend Phil, who used to manage a tag team down south. As for my daily routine, usually wake up sometime between 6:30 and 7 o'clock in the morning. First thing I do when I get out of bed is go and take a shower and wash my hair. Then when I come out of the shower, I usually go and get dressed and make my lunch. That's usually just something simple like sandwiches, nothing complicated. Then next thing I do is once I'm dressed is check that I've got everything that I need for work that day, like travel money, my work capacity getting into the building, anything else I think I might need for the day. I also sometimes watch a little bit of television before I leave for work, but it's usually either on Amazon Prime or on Netflix. It tends not to be live television. And then I usually get on the train for about 5 to 8. It takes about 10 minutes on the train to get into the city centre to Glasgow Central Station, and then I usually walk for about 10 or 15 minutes to get to my actual workplace because it's down by the Clyde River and there's no direct route that goes there. Start work sometime between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. I'm supposed to officially start at 9, but I'm almost always there early. And the first thing I do when I get into work is log on to my computer. Once that's done, I make sure that I'm into the right parts of our computer systems at work so that I can do my job. And the first thing I usually do is check my own emails first before I start on the company ones, because sometimes people will decide to email me directly rather than email the company, I guess. Usually because I've already sent them previous emails. I'm an admin assistant for a medical union. It's not a particularly exciting job, but I enjoy the job itself. I like my colleagues and my bosses, they're all great, really nice place to work. Would highly recommend it if anybody's looking for work. The basis of my job as an admin assistant is usually dealing with things like the daily emails that come in from people who are members of our organisation and answering any questions that they might have or things that they want to know about. Like, I know for example we got some yesterday which were talking about the abortion vote which went on in Ireland yesterday, but the company as a whole doesn't have a comment on that yet, so that'll probably be a Monday before that goes out. That's usually worked on between 8:30 or 9 to probably about 1:30. That's when I get my lunch break. Lunch usually just consists of soup and a sandwich, and I tend to talk to my colleagues at lunch breaks because you don't really get a lot of time to do that during the day, unfortunately. Go back upstairs for about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Usually pretty much the same in the afternoon as well, although sometimes what I have to do is add new members to our database, which involves collating all their information, name, address, telephone numbers, email, that type of thing, and also ensuring that they're on the correct rate with us as well, because we have several different kinds of rates you can be on. Again, that usually lasts from about 2 in the afternoon till about 5 in the evening when I leave work. Again, it's the same process of that I come out of work, walk back to Central Station for about 15 minutes, get back on the train at Glasgow Central to bring me back to Mount Florida. In the evenings, Hubby and I usually have dinner together at home, but if we're free after that, we go to the cinema, or we go meet friends, or we just go out for a walk sometimes to work off whatever we've eaten for dinner. Dinner's usually chicken or fish in our house. We don't have a lot of red meat. I'm not overly fond of a lot of red meat in my diet. I prefer chicken or fish. And we tend to stick to fairly simple stuff, recipes like spag bol or soup that my mother has given me in the past. Makes it really easy to do. If we've been out together to the cinema, we usually tend to come straight home after that. Me because I've had a long day at work, and my husband because he's looking for work currently. He spent most of the day doing that. If we've been home in the evenings, we tend to watch things again on Netflix or Amazon Prime. Sometimes he'll find an anime show to show me, for example, because he's a massive fan of animes. The one he's showing me at the moment is called My Hero Academia, which is really interesting. And we just tend to relax at home for most of the evening. Normally go to bed sometime between 10 and 11. Usually more nearer 10 though, because I need my rest for the morning. And usually I actually get into bed and go to sleep sometime between 10:30 and 11. Wake up again the next morning, again probably about 6:30, 7 o'clock again.
So I'm Marianne Lemen. I'm a French citizen, but I've lived in Glasgow for the past 5 years, and I'm an electronic engineer. So typically my day starts at 7:15, and I will spend only 10 minutes in my flat at the time to dress up, brush my teeth and leave the flat. So just to be able to sleep as long as I can. And then I'll go to take the bus to go to work, which is an escape ride, so I have 50 minutes in the bus, so 1 hour door to door between my work and my office, my home and my office. And then once I arrive there at 8:45, I start by reading my emails, so spend a lot of time in email during the day. And 1 hour after that I'll go for a break with my colleagues, and that's when I'm gonna have a breakfast. So I normally bring a bag of bagels at the start of the week, and then I toast that and eat that with some jam and have some coffee, and we have a pool table at work, so sometimes I play pool with my colleague at that break. Then I go back to my desk, and then I stay there until noon, where I go for my lunch break. So I eat with my colleagues, so sometimes there is a truck which comes and gives food, but typically I bring what I've left over from the night before. And then after 45 minutes go back to my desk, maybe check Facebook, and then go back to working. So in my work, as an electronic engineer, I work on a computer chip that goes into the car. So that looks like that, and they are connected to camera in the car to be able to detect if there is a pedestrian or lane on the road and act on that, so to eventually make a car driverless. And so my job is to answer questions from customer on how to use it. So I have customer all over the world and team all over the world, so I have to be careful depending on the time of the day. In the morning China is going to be awake, in the afternoon it's going to be US with my manager, so that's also driving a lot of my plan during the day. And if I don't have too many meetings in the afternoon and too many calls, then I will just have another wee break with my colleagues. I finish work around typically, I don't know, quarter to 6, and go back to take the bus. So in my bus time in the morning or in the afternoon, I use the 15 minutes to do something else, call my parents, text my friends. Just now for the past few weeks I've been using it to learn languages on the Duolingo application. And then after that I buy food on the way to home and I cook. So in the week I try to eat healthy, so I will try to make some soup or to cook vegetables to eat with some pasta, sometimes make some pie, and like this in the weekend I eat junk food to feeling a bit less guilty. And if I don't cook and eat with my flatmates, then I'm trying also more and more to go out, so to go to some concerts or to theatre play, or to do some meetup to meet people and or do dance classes, just to get my head a bit out of work. And then around 11:30 normally I'm in bed and sleeping until the next day.
My name's Martine, I'm 39 years of age and I work for a food on the go retailer. My average day starts round about 4:45 in the morning when I get up. I come down the stairs, I've usually got my clothes laid out from the night before. I get washed, I get dressed, I don't bother having anything to eat at that time. I prepare my son's packed lunch, put it in his bag, and then I wait for my taxi to arrive. That takes me about 10 minutes to get to work at that time in the morning. I get to the shop and I go in, I start putting the lights on, the ovens on, setting things up for the day. I do my safe checks. Then as the morning goes on, the other girl comes in and she'll start on sandwich preparation while I set up the front shop, and then we open the doors at 7 o'clock, and at that time in the morning from 7 till 11 it's mostly breakfast items, so rolls and sausage and bacon and cups of coffee and tea and things. So during that time you're mostly kind of replenishing the stock from that side of things, cooking your breakfast items and serving customers. And then from about 11 o'clock, between 11 and 12, you get your breakfast items off and you start with your lunch preparation, making sure all your sandwiches are there and your displays and your merchandising's all done, and get the lunchtime pasties and things and put them in the ovens, sausage rolls, the juice cabinets filled. Then it's more or less serving customers because it's your busy time from between 12 and 2. From 2 o'clock onwards we're on the wind down for the afternoon, trying to get things cleaned and set up for the next morning. During that time as well you're taking off your other tills, so you're doing like checking that the tills are okay, they've got enough change in them, and also take my lunch round about that time, and that's usually the first point of the day where I'll have something to eat, which just depends how I'm feeling, what I have. I'll maybe have a pasty or maybe have a wee sandwich. I get half an hour for my lunch, and then after that, as I said, it's back to working on the wind down and the clean up for the afternoon. I then finish work about 5:30, come home, get my partner picks me up and brings me home. I come home and prepare the dinner for everyone, and once I've prepared the dinner, I usually just watch television. I'll sit with my daughter, we watch our soaps and our reality TV and things, and maybe do a bit of my son's homework with him, and then it's time for baths and showers, and I'm usually in bed, put my son to bed about 9 o'clock, and then I'm in my bed myself for about 10:30, and that's usually my day.
Hi, my name is Lauren and I'm 30 years old. My typical day would normally start around 6:30. So I get up at 6:30 and I do half an hour of yoga or Pilates or HIIT or a really quick run, whatever I decide to do that morning, whatever I can be bothered doing that morning. Lucy, my dog, is a Cocker Spaniel. She'll generally come in and join me, and I normally do that in the living room if it's obviously not a run. So we do that. Then around 7 o'clock, between 7 and 7:10, I'll get her ready to go for a walk. So I do a morning walk. we're typically out for around 25 minutes, all depending on how she's feeling really. I put on my running stuff because sometimes she wants to run with me, other times she just wants to mooch around the streets, so whatever she feels like we do. So that takes me normally to around 7:30ish. Then I'll come home, and then around, well yeah, it's between 7:30 and 22, I'll put out Lucy's breakfast. So Lucy gets her breakfast and she's waiting for it and expecting. She'll run in and see Scott, my husband, and say good morning to him, and that's when I'll empty the dishwasher, tidy up a little bit, do as many chores as I can kind of fit in before about 10 to 8. Then at 10 to 8 I go for my shower, so I go for a shower, and that takes me till about 8 o'clock. And then at 8 Lucy will come in and join me in my spare room, and that's where I get ready. So it takes me around half an hour to 40 minutes to get ready, do my hair, my makeup, clothes, and at that point it takes me usually to about 10 to 9. I'll get Lucy's stuff ready for the day, so Lucy stays in while we go to work, so I'll put out some puzzles for her and some treats, and I'll get my lunch ready that Scott's already made for me and put on the side, and pack my bag for the day for work. Generally I leave for work 10 to 9 o'clock, depending on how quick I've been getting out the house. And I work in Perth, so it's a wee bit of a drive from where I am. It takes me about between an hour and a quarter, and I drive there. So it's about a 50-mile drive, and on the commute I just listen to the radio and chill out, because it can be a wee bit tedious at times. And by the time I get to work it's normally around 10 o'clock. As soon as I get into work I put on a coffee. I should have said that actually in the morning, that I have my coffee when I get in as well, so I have a lot of coffee in the morning to keep me awake. I'll put on my coffee and get my breakfast, which is generally something really quick, like a breakfast bar or something. I don't really have time in the morning to fit that in. And I'll open up my computer and get ready for the day. I'm an interior designer, so I work out of a showroom. I generally work alone as well, so I can pretty much make my own diary, make my own schedule of what I'm doing for that day. I will open up my laptop, read my emails and sort of plan my day around that. Generally speaking, I'll be meeting with clients, designing and drawing for clients, liaising with our factory. We make furniture as well, so I'll be liaising with them, other people in my team. Normally that's done on the phone or email or via like a computer sharing program, because we generally all work on our own in our own showrooms. I don't normally take a lunch break in work because I work quite condensed hours. I work 10 till 4:30 in the showroom, so I'll generally just grab a bit of lunch that I've already taken with me and work straight through the day. Generally speaking, it is about 4:30, 4:45 by the time I finish. I try not to stay too late, although there will be the odd day where I'll be there till about 7 or 8 o'clock, depending on how busy we are. Yeah, so I leave Perth 4:45. The traffic's a bit worse at night normally, so I usually get home around 5:30 to 6 o'clock. Probably more towards the 6 o'clock. Quite look forward to that because Lucy's really good when you come home. She's all excited, and Scott's usually home by this point as well, so we sort of meet, and that's when we plan our evening. Generally speaking, we'll cook from scratch, do a wee bit more exercise and take the dog out for our mid-evening walk. That's generally what we try and get done between the time we get home from work and about 8:30. So depending on how nice the weather is, will tell us how long Lucy stays out for. Sometimes I'll do some chores while Scott cooks or vice versa or whatever, so we sort of try and fit that all in between those 2 hours. 8:30 Lucy goes for our last walk for the evening, so we'll generally go out for another wee half hour and be back home for about 9 o'clock. Then we sort of sit on the couch, play on our phones, watch TV, Google stuff, watch YouTube, whatever, and that normally takes us till about 10:30, 11:15, and that's generally when we go to bed because we really like to sleep, so we need a good 7 or 8 hours sleep. Just before I go to bed I'll get my yoga stuff or exercise stuff ready for the next day, and put all that out because that forces me to get out a bit early in the morning if I know it's already waiting for me. And that's really that's a typical day.
My name's Chris DeRosa, I'm 42 and I'm a professional stage illusionist, Scotland's only as well. My day consists of waking usually around about 7:30. I hit the shower, my wife goes to work, And then after the shower, I get breakfast. And breakfast is probably not your run-of-the-mill breakfast because it's for a bodybuilder. And I have like 5 whole eggs, 100 grams of oats, and 60 grams of protein powder. And that's the day started for me. And then straight after that, I head off to the gym, which is about roughly a 15-minute drive from the house. And get to the gym. I don't get changed because I go in my gym clothes, so I'm all ready to go when I get there because time is of the essence for me. I don't have enough hours in my day. So when I get to the gym, straight into the weights. Don't warm up because I'm fortunate enough I don't need to. And then I'm there for usually roughly between an hour and a half to 2 hours. And then straight after I've finished at the gym, get back in the car, go back home, come back here to get changed, and put on my work clothes, because then after that I head over to my workshop, which is affectionately called Area 51, because it's a secret location. Only some people know where it is, family, friends and magicians. And that's where I create and build stage illusions for other people, including my own act. And these illusions get shipped out all over the world to different shows and different performers. At the moment I'm working on a very secretive project that I'm not actually allowed to say anything about because I've been asked to sign a secrecy agreement, a confidentiality agreement, until the project's actually launched. But what I can tell you is that the project will be launched in August of this year. And then after that I'm free to talk about it. So my day in the office, or in the workshop if you like, consists of building things out of wood, metal, painting, and that noise you can hear in the background is my rabbit decided having a drink. That's Loxley. So he's not part of the act, although he has a rabbit, and magicians have rabbits, but he's not in the show. But back to the workshop. Usually I'm in there from anything between 10:30 in the morning till roughly about 8 o'clock at night. It's a very strange place to be in because usually in the winter I go in when it's dark and I come out when it's dark, but that's usually that side of my job, which involves creating things for people. My day at work isn't always the same. As a performer, usually sometimes it involves travelling a lot to places where I'm working, doing shows, etc., which can be anywhere in the world, not just in the UK, not just in Scotland. The poster you see behind me is for a show that I worked in Miami on a cruise ship. I was there for 2 years, overseeing the show called The Illusionarium, and it starred 5 of America's top illusionists who were quite famous in the States. So that's usually what consists of my day at work. So when I finish my work, usually, as I say, between any time between 8 PM and 10 PM, it's only about a 15-minute drive to the house. So I get back to the house, usually have something to eat. Usually it's basic because it's quite late in the evening when I get back, but sometimes it's just steak and more protein. Try and catch up on the television a little bit, maybe watch it for an hour or so. Catch up in paperwork on my laptop, send out invoices, etc. And then after that, it's bed. And bed usually for me is anywhere between 10:30 11 o'clock at night. And that's it. That's my day.
My name's Sean Higgins. I'm 29. In the morning I set 3 alarms to wake up. So my shift starts at 9, I wake up about 7:30. So I set the first alarm at 10 past, the second alarm at 20 past, and then eventually get up at 7:30. At that point I walk straight from my bedroom straight into the bathroom to have a shower. Jump into that shower for between 4 and 6 minutes. Basics, get out there, still sleeping basically as I'm in there. Get out of the shower, dry myself up, and I'll brush my teeth. During when I'm brushing my teeth, I'm getting my stuff ready for work, so I'll pick out my pass to get into work and get the cigarettes ready and the headset ready, which is the most important thing. At that point, I'll be brush my teeth, I'll go in and I'll look at the wardrobe, see what I'm wearing today, and cross my fingers, hope I don't need to iron anything. Once I've decided what I'm wearing, I'll get that on. Walk into the kitchen at that point, make myself a cup of tea or have some crunchy nut cornflakes. Don't normally eat in the morning. By that time, it's normally time to get ready to go for the train. So I got up at 7:30, my train's at like 8:20. So to leave myself plenty of time. Train station just along the road, so I just walk along there, and that's when I have my first cigarette, which normally wakes me up pretty much. Buy my train ticket at the station, and I'll get on my train and I'll try and go to sleep. I'll set my alarm for another 8 minutes, which I know the train takes to get to my proper station. So hopefully there's nobody sitting inside me in the train as well, and I can get a good sleep. Once I get into my station at Charing Cross, I'll head to my work, where I work in investment banking, dealing with customers' queries about their investment accounts. So I'll start the shift at 9 AM, and at that point I'll start taking my first calls. I'll take between anywhere between 40 and 60 calls a day, speaking to customers who generally they don't know they have an investment. They're looking to query something on their account. That day's split up between 4 breaks, so I have a break first before my lunch, so start at 9 o'clock, get my first break about 10:30, at which point I'll take my earphones out, sunglasses hopefully, head down the stairs and have a cigarette. That's a 15-minute break, and then I'll head back up to resume the remainder of my shift, which is broken up by lunchtime next. So I'll normally go back into the work about quarter to 11. Lunchtime won't be to about 12:30, 1 o'clock. At lunchtime, I'll head down the stairs to the cafeteria to see what they've got on offer. If it's not something I like the look of, I'll head into the town to see if I can get a Subway or a Greggs, something that more suits my needs. I'll have my second cigarette at that point, walking along to get my lunch. Bring the lunch back to the cafeteria, where we'll sit, whoever's on lunch at the same time, we'll sit and have a chat. At that point, when we're all finished lunch, which lasts an hour, before we go upstairs to start taking calls again, we will go out for another cigarette and head back up the stairs to deal with our customers. Hopefully at the time after lunch it starts to get a little bit quieter and there's some gaps between the calls, we can start talking to each other rather than talking to customers about how to get logged on online or take all the money out of Santander or add more money in. And at that point, you're just counting the hours down to the next break again, which is normally come back from your lunch about 1:30. Next break will be about 3:30. So that gives you 2 hours on the phone. Once again, at that point, there's nothing much else you can do except to put your earphones in, jump down and have a cigarette. Get back up at that point, it's 3:45, so you know you're almost at the end of your shift. So that's the easy part of the day done. So you just get that done, speak to the rest of your customers and try and get signed out for 5 o'clock. Hopefully you don't get a call just before that, which keeps you behind. And at that point, 5 o'clock, you'll start heading home. So my train's at 25 past. So if I get stuck on a call, I might miss that train. So hopefully I get out straight away and I'll head along and get the train, which takes me about 10-15 minutes to get home. At which point I'll head home, have another cigarette and then walk home and decide what I'm having for my dinner. If I've not got anything in the fridge, I'll walk across to the shops and buy something, or else I'll phone myself a takeaway. Whilst I'm waiting for the takeaway to come, I'll normally stick something on the TV, listen to the football phone in, or just basically browse online, see what's happening. Maybe phone a few people, see what they're doing that night. Normally get my dinner made about 6:30, or else it gets delivered at 6:30 normally. I'll eat my food whilst I'm listening to my music or got the TV on, and at that point it's now about 7 o'clock, 7:15, and then we'll see what we're doing with the rest of the night. So if there's no football on anything, I'll normally just sit in and watch TV, but if there's football on, then I'll head out to the pub with a couple of my friends, have a few drinks and watch the football. Normally I'll go to the bookies before I go to the pub and spend some of my hard-earned cash that I've worked for during that day. At that point I'll spend the rest of the time in the pub watching the football, hoping that my bet comes in and that I don't have to go to work the next day. And normally get home from the pub once the football's finished, 9:45, 10 o'clock, 10:30, something like that, depending on how it's went. And I'll come back here, have another cigarette, stick something down on the TV and sit on the couch with a blanket, wait till I feel dozy enough, and then I'll go into the toilet, brush my teeth, and from there it's just the reverse from the morning, and I'll head into bed and try and fall asleep. And that's normally about 11:15, 11:30 at night.
I'm Christopher Belsey, I'm aged 28 and I'm a music composer. My daily routine normally consists of waking up around about 7 AM and I'll spend 20 to 30 minutes checking my emails, looking on the internet, sort of browsing the news, seeing what's happening. I'll also use this time to collate any ideas I've had that have come to me relating to my music projects. So that can be melodies, chord structures or orchestration ideas, and I'll just spend a bit of time collating those ideas and thinking what I want to do with them. And I'll sometimes maybe grab my phone and sing into it any melodic ideas I have, so I don't forget them. So usually by 7:30 I'll start to get up and go and get myself showered and dressed, and then I'll go and get myself breakfast. I usually have things like granola or cereal, depending how I feel, and in the winter months I'll have porridge or something a bit warmer. So once I've done that, I'll aim to be in here by 8 AM, so that I'm ready to get started into my work, because I like to get started nice and early while the ideas are fresh in my mind. So the projects that I mainly work on are scoring films, or writing music to films, and writing library tracks, and sometimes I'll generally be in here just doodling away, playing the piano, coming up with melodic ideas and chord structures, things like that. So I'll work right through to until about 12:30, when I usually break off for lunch. So I tend to have fairly simple things such as sandwiches or beans and toast. And I've also got 2 Labradors, so I'll also use this time to take them out and so they can release themselves, and it gives me a chance to get a bit of fresh air and refresh my mind for my afternoon working session. So usually just after 1 o'clock I'll be back in here where I'll resume where I left off from the morning, and I'll just basically continue the work right through until around about 4 PM, and I'll go and feed my dogs, and by 5:30 I'll try and get my own dinner. So again, fairly kind of simple tastes, things like pasta dishes, or fish and chips or something like that. Nothing exciting. And then usually during the week I'll have piano lessons starting at 6 o'clock, so I'll teach between 6 and 8 PM, and I teach all ages from very young to mature. So younger ages I'll teach for half-hour lessons, and mature students I'll teach them for hourly lessons. During the weekends I also do takeaway deliveries, so my hours mainly consist of 4 PM to 11 PM, and I work for both Chinese and fish and chip takeaways. So back to my kind of normal routine, once the piano lessons are by, come 8 o'clock I'll maybe just spend an hour relaxing, so I either watch television, things I like to watch is sort of documentaries and sort of dramas that are on the sort of terrestrial channels, and I watch them because I like dramas, but also to sort of research what's happening in the music in them for my own sort of ambitions. And yeah, usually by 9 o'clock I'm back in here, because I find that my concentration level sort of hits a peak at that time. So I'll again continue working away maybe to 10, not any later, to 11 PM, because I like to just make sure that I've got enough there to continue on the following day, because I don't like to come to a blank page. So I'll just make sure I've kind of reached a certain target, especially if I'm up against a deadline, and then I'll break off by 11 PM and just get myself ready and go to my bed. That's my daily routine.
I'm Anna Carley and I'm 24. So I normally wake up in the morning at around, well, when the sun wakes me up, which is really annoying. So at the moment that's like 5:30, and then I snooze to my alarm. Generally when I'm in rehearsals I have to be in for like 10, so I get up at about 7:45 and I always go for a run. I'm a bit of a fitness freak. No one understands how I do it, but I get up every morning, go for a run, anywhere between about 3 to 6 miles, so about 40 to 50 minutes depending on how tired my legs are or how much time I have really. So then when I get back, jump in the shower obviously, And then I don't normally have breakfast because I do a weird thing called intermittent fasting where I try and only eat for about 8 hours a day. So if I like finish my last meal at 8, I won't eat again until 12. But if I've been for a run, I'll generally just have like a protein shake or something. But I do prepare all my food to take out because I don't like spending money and I like to try and eat healthy. Like I said, I'm a fitness freak. So I will normally take oats with flaked almonds, pumpkin seeds, sometimes sunflower seeds, some berries, and then some yogurt and a bit of honey. So I'll prepare that, take a banana, take an apple, and then normally some carrot sticks or something, so not very exciting. And then I will walk to my university. It's just a Royal Conservatoire, and it takes me about 15 to 20 minutes. Normally I have company because I live with 9 other people off my course, so there's normally someone that's in the same rehearsal with me, so we just generally chat our way to the conservatoire. I try and get there about 20 minutes early to do a vocal and physical warm-up if it's a rehearsal. That'll be just warming up my voice, warming up the body, getting ready for the day. And then rehearsal wise, we'll do like a block till about 11:30, have a tea break. I even take my own tea bags in because there's the kettle and I don't like spending money. And then we rehearse till about 1:30, then we have lunch for an hour. Generally on lunchtime, I eat what I've prepared, and we just sit and chat like with the group. We're all really good friends and we're all really supportive, so it's normally just quite a fun, chilled lunchtime. And then we get back in rehearsals again till about 4, have another break, so then I'll have another snack, and then finish at 6. Depending on what the project we're working on, it sort of depends on the structure of the day. My timetable changes quite a bit, so if it's classes, it might be a bit earlier, it might be 9, and we'll do like voice classes, movement classes, or professional development classes where they get artistic directors in and we do mock auditions and get feedback, that sort of thing. But then recently we also spent a month at the Globe, and that was focused on Shakespeare, and then that tied in when we came back from the Globe. I went straight into rehearsals for Titus Andronicus at the Conservatoire, so that was the 10 till 6 structure, all based on Shakespeare. So I've been doing a lot of Shakespeare at the moment, so I'm currently actually rehearsing for Romeo and Juliet, but that's an outside performance. So I've actually been going up to the Botanic Gardens and rehearsing outside, which in this weather which we've had has been nice, but I'm prepared for the Glasgow weather to strike and it will probably be rainy and windy soon. So that's been my general structure again, 10 till 6, but just not at the Conservatoire, it's been up in the gardens. When I finish rehearsals, I generally in the week would just come home because I'm normally quite tired, and I will make tea. I generally make quite veggie dishes because I try not to buy meat. I'm not vegetarian. If I go out and eat, I'll eat meat, but I just try and reduce what meat I'm buying in. So we'll make anything from like a veggie dal, veggie curry, veggie chili, that sort of thing. Whatever seasonal veg is out at the moment, really. So yeah, that's my dinner, and then I always have to have a bit of dark chocolate at the end. It's my vice. And then the evening, I should do work, but normally when I've been rehearsing all day, I'm quite tired. So I might do some admin type stuff that's like quite easy going, just send a few emails. Or normally I watch telly. I try and watch fairly like kosher telly. I love a good BBC mini-series, TV drama, but sometimes I do watch trash like Love Island, which I'm addicted to. And then sometimes I carry on and go to the theatre, which sometimes feels quite hard when you've been doing theatre all day, but to go and watch it, but try and get down to the Sits, the Tron, and see as much theatre as I can. And then evening wise, I sort of try and get to bed by about like 11. I need my 8 hours sleep generally. I always say I turn to the devil if I don't get my 8 hours sleep. So normally get to bed by about 11, but sometimes because I said that I live with 9 people off my course, we just get a bit carried away. But on weekends, especially on a Friday, the whole cohort will generally go to the pub for a few drinks, and that can just be a pint to coming home or to many a drink, and the night just rolls. And then as there's 9 of us here, we're generally the party house. So people will end up coming around here with copious amounts of crisps and drink, and then we just stay up way too late. And that's generally the weekends. So yeah, that's roughly my daily routine.
So my name is Sarah Harvey and I'm a dentist. So my day usually starts about 10 to 8, or about 8 o'clock I get up. If I'm staying in Cumbernauld, then usually get up about that time. It takes me about half an hour to get to work. Or if I'm staying at my boyfriend's, it only takes about 10 to 15 minutes to get to work, so I'll leave depending on then. The drive can be a bit busy in the morning with all the traffic on the M8 and M80. So I get to work, I work within a health centre, so there's the medical areas. I'm upstairs on the first floor with dental, so there's community across the way, and where I work, which is a general dental practice. Work starts at 9 o'clock. I usually try and get in at 8:45 so I can look and see what's in my day. So a day tends to be pretty varied. No day's really the same. It really just depends. You've got everything booked in, and ideally your whole day will be full and you'll be busy, but there tends to be 2 free 15-minute appointments in the day that's emergency appointments. So that'll be if a patient phones up and say a filling's came out or they're in a lot of pain, then they can get filled in those spaces, because patients in pain should ideally be seen within 24 hours on the NHS if they're registered with us. Things that we would see would include checkups, children checkups, fillings, NHS will private fillings, crowns, bridges, dentures, extractions, periodontal treatment, so gum treatment and everything like that as well. So depending on what they're getting done, how many fillings are getting done, what their treatment plan is, then that'll be how long an appointment is. So appointments tend to vary from 5 minutes to about an hour for maybe root canal treatments or something, so they tend to be quite long appointments. So ideally I like to have my treatment in the morning because I like to get everything done and out the way, and then maybe more checkups towards the afternoon, but it doesn't always work out like that. It really just depends what you're getting in the day. Sometimes patients don't show up, which isn't great, because then it's just a bit boring, but usually the space can get filled. Where I work just now, there's quite a high dental need, which is a bit of a shame, particularly among children. So generally I don't have too many gaps in my book at the moment. We stop for lunch at 1 o'clock and we get an hour for lunch. So I'll usually have, recently I've been having overnight oats, or I used to usually just go to Greg's and grab something, and I would have that. We've got an hour lunch. I sit with my nurses for lunch. My boss, the owner of the practice, she sits in the wee recovery room, and one of the other dentists usually sits in his surgery, so it's really just dependent. That's what they like to do, but I like to sit with the girls, and we just sit and chat and that for an hour and just relax. It's always the quickest hour of the day, and then we go back to work at 2 o'clock, and then busy and keep going. Generally speaking, the dentist and nurse should have a really good relationship, because you're in a room with them really for the whole of the day, and I've always worked with nurses that I really enjoy working with, and as a team, so I think that's maybe one of the best parts of my job, getting to work with my nurse and treat patients. Then we usually finish about 5 o'clock, 5:30. It really just depends. Sometimes if your last patient cancels, or if you get done a wee bit quicker, then you can get home a bit earlier. Recently I've been doing some gym classes after work, so when I finish at 5:30, that's in town as well, so I'll maybe just go over to that, or more than likely I would just go home. And then when I go home I usually like to have dinner when I go home, so I'll just cook whatever, or if I'm staying with my boyfriend, he usually cooks dinner. I don't eat meat, so just something to do with that. And then I'll usually just sit and relax, maybe play with my dog or walk my dog or whatever, and then I stay up quite late, so I usually go to bed about 12 o'clock, maybe later or a wee bit earlier, but that's usually my day.
Hi, my name's Alison and I'm 50 years old, and today I want to share with you what I do on a daily basis. First of all, I waken in the morning about 5:40 and I press my snooze button, and because I like to get that 5 minutes in the morning, so I tend to get up about 5:45. I get up and I go downstairs and take my nutritionals, and then after that I go and get washed, and then I dry my hair and put my clothes on, and after that I go downstairs. I don't have any breakfast because I tend to have this at work, and because I work locally, I just work 5 minutes away from home. And what I do is I just jump in the car and just go to the office. So in the morning I start at 7 o'clock in the morning, and the job that I'm involved in is HR. And in the morning, the first thing I'm involved in is doing the stats in the morning and preparing the stats for the day, and just making sure that everything's all organised in our spreadsheet for the day. And it's so important to do our stats, because everything that we do on a daily basis is all accounted for. And the type of work that I'm involved in is looking after people's maternity, sick leave, promotion, transfers. This is just varies now throughout the day. It's not like I'm doing maternity all day or do sick all day. It's like varied all day. So I then have lunch round about 12:30. And I meet different people each day, and I normally have about half an hour for lunch, and so that's like 1 o'clock. So after lunch I then go back to my job, and again it's I just pick up what items we have received in our inbox, and some of these items could be really, really urgent, so we tend to just work out what's needing to be worked first. And so I normally work till round about 5:15 at night, and then after that I then head home, and because I live locally, it's only 5 minutes down the road, and then I go to Keep Fit classes after that. And then my class starts at 6 o'clock, so it's quite handy that it's local. So I go to my classes, which I really, really enjoy. And then the classes are from about 6 o'clock to 7. So after that, I'll come back home and get home for around about 7:15. And then I'll go for a shower, and then get ready, and then I'll start making the dinner. And for dinner it could be like chicken and rice and like vegetables that I would have for dinner. I don't normally have a dessert at all, so during the week, so that's dinner time. And then after that it's like doing the dishes, and my husband will wash the dishes, and then I'll dry the dishes, and then it's preparing the lunches for the following day after that. And then I would probably spend about half an hour to an hour on my home-based business that I do, and once that's finished I'll then look at watching some things on the telly that we recorded now during the week. And I'm a mad Corrie fan, so I like to catch up with Corrie. So I roughly go to bed about 10:30. So and then that's me for the day. So that's what I do on a daily basis.
Hi, I'm Martin Kelly and I'm 50, and I'm a gardener. I usually wake up about 8:30, 9 o'clock, because I like to start about 11. I know it sounds really late, but when you're doing gardening you've got to watch how wet the soil is, and sometimes for weeding, especially in shady areas, it can be quite wet, so that's why I get about 8:30 or 9, and it takes me quite a long time just to wake up in the morning, because I'm not a morning person. After I've been to the bathroom, brush my teeth, I'll have my breakfast, because I always feel really hungry in the morning. So I will have a cup of tea, put the kettle on, have a cup of tea, have a croissant and a bowl of Greek yoghurt with a nice bit of honey in it, and I feel that sets me up for the day. I'll go and put my clothes on, get dressed, put your clothes on, get washed, get my tools ready, see what I need to be doing. And it's usually quite local, so I don't have to travel too far for my work, so it's usually about 10-15 minutes maximum, which is always good. When I get there I always check what time I start at, so I know how many hours I've worked because I get paid by the hour, so I don't want to be doing any particularly free stuff for people, but it depends. I'm quite flexible. So when I get there, I usually have a word with if the garden owner's there, what they want to do on that particular day, or sometimes they've left me instructions, or it's quite obvious what I need to do. Say the grass needs cut, so I'll do that. Or if I need to do some weeding, which is outstanding, I need to do that, so that's what I do. When I get there, I usually like to put my headphones on and listen to some music as I work, because it's quite a dull job, to be honest. But it's a good job, but you're right in the fresh air, but it is quite dull, especially if you're doing lots of weeding, which I do quite a lot of, and it keeps you focused as well, and it gives you a sort of rhythm to work for. I don't always do weeding. Sometimes I'm doing cutting grass. Some people's lawns are quite big, and some customers want me to trim it as well, which can be quite time consuming. And at certain times of the year they want like shrubs and certain plants trimmed and cut down. So sometimes spend quite a lot of time cutting quite substantial branches down, sometimes just twigs and things, and tidying things up, which is always quite like that sort of job. Sometimes quite a few customers ask me to do hedge cutting, which is quite fun because I get playing on a sort of scaffold thing that I have, and use electric clippers, which is quite good, and it's nice to see the job at the end and see them being satisfied with it as well. I said this would start about I would say 11 o'clock. So maybe 1:30, depends where it is. And I usually like to stop about 1ish, 1:30, because I usually feel quite hungry then. And I'll come back home, I'm able to do that. And I usually have a sandwich at lunchtime, which is with cold meat and a bit of mustard. I'll have another cup of tea and a slice of cake, just like a bit of Swiss roll, nothing too grand, and eat that. I usually spend about 45 minutes, maybe an hour, depends. During it I might watch some YouTube videos. I sometimes do that in the morning just to wake myself up. I don't bother putting TV or the radio on. Radio maybe occasionally, to see what I'm feeling like, and sometimes to check the weather. And then in the afternoon I'll go back about 1ish. The latest I want to stay to someone and stay about 5 o'clock. But having said that, if I've got to sort of finish the cutting grass, and I don't want to stop at 5 o'clock on the dot and have leave a section undone, so if it needs to be done I'll just work a wee bit later than that. And then I usually come home, and I live in the same house as my brother, who actually owns the house, so I actually cook the main evening meal. Sometimes we'll have rice or pasta with something sort of fairly convenience, but sometimes if I feel like it, I might make a steak or something from scratch, as I quite like cooking. In the evenings I'm usually just waiting for a rest, so I'll probably watch TV for a wee while. Sometimes I'll not bother with watching it, I just watch something on YouTube, maybe just lie down on my bed and take it really easy. I have been known to go on, because I don't like to go to bed too early, so say about if I'm particularly early-ish start, sometimes people might want you to be a bit early. During the summer it can be easier. I usually try to be 12:30 or 1 o'clock. I know it sounds late, but other times if I can go into 1:30, 2, that'd be fine.
My name is Tiana Calanto Hermosi. I'm 24 years old. I normally get up at 9 in the morning. I go to the bathroom and wash my face, wash my hands, get dressed, and then I have breakfast. Normally while I'm having breakfast, I will check to see if I have any urgent emails or messages, and then after I finish my breakfast, I respond to those messages. And then I go on to do some work for my normal paid job, which is working for an agency that links up disabled candidates with employers. So I try to think creatively. So I sit down and write ideas about what kind of media I can make to promote what they do and how to get the message across and market for my job. After I do some work for my paid job, I go on to do some work for unpaid projects that I'm working on. So I'm usually at my computer for 3-4 hours straight, either working on ideas or editing or scripting or trying to find funding for films, and funding doesn't usually exist. So after I do a few hours of that, get really tired and then have lunch. While I'm having lunch, I like to try and watch film because that's pretty much the only thing I have with spare time. So I normally get food and then I've got a Netflix subscription. So I go on Netflix and try to find something that I've not watched before, which is getting more and more difficult because I've watched a lot of things by now. So yeah, I'll watch something, relax, have food, and then I will get back to work. I normally try and factor in a bit of time to read some books, and so far I've not managed to get past page 35 of Calvino, but I'm working on that. And then at night time I just normally follow up the kind of errands that I have to do that make my life run well, because I need support to live. So I normally have to email schedules to my personal assistants, and I'm constantly advertising to find new assistants because a lot of people don't stick at the job as they don't take it seriously. So I spend around 3 hours looking through CVs and seeing if anyone might have the right skills to do the job. And then after those 3 hours, I'm absolutely exhausted, so I'll have coffee. And after that, I'll pretty much scroll through Facebook, kind of aimlessly looking at content and wasting my time. And then I normally edit a little bit more and then go to sleep around 12 at midnight.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm happy. Yeah. I like my job because it kind of pushes me and challenges me. And I also just love my chill time because, yeah, I've kind of found hobbies and stuff that interest me. So I make the most of my chill time as well.
Yeah, relatively. Most days I'm happy, yeah.
Very happy.
Yes, quite happy. I've been in worse cases, so this is the happiest point I've been in my life. Definitely.
Yes, I would say I'm happy.
I would definitely say I am. I'm definitely in a situation where, especially having been in a situation, being in a very dark place in my youth as well, I think I'm in a situation now where I can genuinely say I'm happy.
Yes.
Sometimes I just find my job, as you call it, as carer is quite tough because of the things involved in what we have to do. Other times I'm okay when I'm with my family and have family time together, and that kind of makes up for it again, but I would have to say sometimes.
In my job, yeah, I'm actually going to university next month to do my nursing training and become a staff nurse, so it's taken me 5 years to get the extra experience to go ahead and do that, so hopefully I'll be more happy once I'm a staff nurse.
Yes.
I'm happy most of the time, yes. Yeah, I'm happy at work when I'm doing well. Being in the sales job, high pressurised job, the expectation is you're going to have unhappy times, but it's all about how you can turn that around and create success, build pipeline, and focus on happiness. So you've got to get past the unhappiness to get to the happiness.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, I am. I'm very happy.
Most of the time, probably, yeah.
Really happy, yeah.
Yes. I've got my life the way I want it. I worked away a lot for years, which isn't always great when you're married. So for the last 4 years I've been working away constantly. I was working in Miami for 2 years, and then I was working in a theme park for 2 years down in England called Flamingo Land. And this is the first year I've actually managed to get all my work so that I can stay at home. So I'm probably the happiest I've been in a long time.
Stop it, Loxley.
Generally, I would say I was happy.
Yes.
Yes, I am happy at the moment, yeah. I've wanted to go to drama school for many a year, so this is my year that I've got into drama school. I've loved living in Glasgow. I find it very much a city that's close to Manchester, and which is where I originally come from. So I've really settled here, and I'm going to stay here when I graduate.
I'm not saying I'm unhappy, but I think there's always things that could be improved. Like in my career, there's further I'd like to go in certain different areas like that. So I would say I'm happy for where I am just now, but there's a lot I'd still like to do. But I'm not unhappy.
In my life, I am very happy, yes.
Yes, I would say on the whole, yes.
That's a tough one. Am I happy? Well, recently I've realised I need to do more to be happy, and that my happiness is actually important. And I think maybe a few months ago I didn't fully appreciate that as much as what I do now. So I'm a lot happier than what I used to be. I think my life is sort of on an upward trajectory, but I'm not fully happy, but I'm always moving toward that.